to Ayurveda Unleashed, Rediscovering Ayurvedic Wellness, the Everyday Blueprint. If you have not watched part 1 yet, I recommend starting there. In part 1, we covered the first 4 pillars of Ayurvedic Wellness Blueprint, that is Aharam, Acharam, Vicharam, and Viharam. Today is part 2, where we complete the blueprint with the next 4 pillars Vyayam, Kriya, Karmam, and Aushadhi. We are joined by Dr. Gopika, Dr. Aishwarya, Dr. Sagarika, and Dr. Disha. Welcome to Ayurveda Unleashed. Doctors, part 1 gave us the map, part 2 is execution. We begin with Vyayam, not as a punishment, but as a purposeful movement that builds strength and stability. So, Dr. Gopika, what does Vyayam mean in Ayurveda and how do we do it without overdoing it?
So, according to Ayurveda, Vyayama is purposeful movement that builds strength and conditioning without breaking the body down. These days, a lot of people follow vigorous activities and in the end, they become exhausted. Ayurveda gives a simple guardrail: do not exercise to exhaustion. The classical idea is half strength, meaning you stop when you still have reserve. That is, we should stop exercising while we still feel some energy left, not when the body is fully drained. When the movement leaves you feeling light, fresh, and stable, it is true Vyayama. When it leaves you exhausted, weak, and restless, it has crossed its healthy limit. And there's a beautiful quote in Ayurveda. That is, Arthakaya nishedyastu belibihi snigdha bhojibihi shitakale vasandecha mandameva tadonyata. That's in Sanskrit. And the meaning is those who are robust and used to this anxious food may practice up to their half strength in colder seasons and spring and milder otherwise. Let's take some examples. For example, if you have 10 minutes, start with some brisk walking with nasal breathing. Then you stop before you feel drained. And if you have 2 to 3 days a week, basic strength conditioning will be a great option, like squats, hinges, push, pull. But make sure it should be done cleanly, not to failure. And if you're a person who sits all a day, mobility is the first thing, then short strength work, then walking. And there are so many people who always feel heavy and stuck. So for them, add intensity gradually, but keep it consistent and measurable.
Okay.
And the last episode we have discussed about, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha people, how they follow Ahara, lifestyle and all.
Right.
So let's come to Vyayama. Vata people usually begin the exercise with excitement, curiosity, but they also lose interest quickly. They like trying new workouts, but repetition actually bores them. And for such people, grounding, steady movement with gentle strength will be a great option. Like, swimming, walking, Pilates, some dance movement. And avoid this erratic high volume workout, like some high resistance cycling, long distance running and all.
Okay.
And in case of Pitta people approach exercise with focus and determination. They actually like goals, charges, and performance, like how much time I spent, how intense it was. But because of this drive, they may push themselves too hard. When the exercise doesn't go planned, they can feel irritated, frustrated, or angry. And for such people, moderate training with recovery, that would be great, like some yoga, swimming, Pilates, and avoid this competitive or pushing and overheating type of activities. Like some hot yoga, martial arts, boxing, they can avoid that. And in case of Kapha people, it's something it's different. Kapha people often struggle to start exercise, not because they lack ability, but because they lack motivation. So they prefer comfort and rest. But once they start and build momentum, they can exercise consistently and for longer periods. So for them, a kind of consistent, challenging movement will be a great. That builds momentum. Actually, sweat is fine, but exhaustion is not. Like some strengthening exercise with moderate weight, some brisk walking, and avoid this endurance sports and powerlifting with heavy weights. So I like to conclude by saying Vyayama is not how hard you go today, it is what you can repeat tomorrow.
Wow, you made Vyayam look so very simple and easy. So I think the simplest rule is move with purpose, build strength, and stop at half strength. And keep the reserves. I think that's how I could conclude what you said. Now that movement is purposeful, the next pillar becomes easier, I think. Let's talk about the actions you do for yourself to reset. And that is called Kriya, if I'm corrected. If your movement leaves you depleted, it is not purposeful. So, Vyayam for you is not the choice. Change the dose, not the habit, they say. So, let's talk to Dr. Aishwarya and try to understand a little bit more about Kriya. So, quick clarity point. People hear the word Kriya and assume it is only meant for yoga Kriyas. Now, that is not how we are using it today, right? Here, Kriya means action, specifically the actions you do for yourself, your personal reset. So, Dr. Aishwarya, what are the simplest kriyas that bring someone back to balance?
While yoga kriyas are beautiful, the kriya we are talking about today is much more intimate.
Mhm,
As you said, it's your personal reset. It's a conversation you have with your body. If I were to give you the simplest kriyas to bring you back to balance, the
mhm,
most fundamental kriya is simply answering the call. In Ayurveda, we say Veganadare, do not suppress the natural urges.
wow, okay.
When you feel the urge to urinate, go pee. When you feel
Mhm,
thirsty, drink. When you feel heavy at 9 p.m., when your eyes are heavy, don't reach for the phone, reach for the pillow.
okay.
Honoring these notifications is a first step to balance.
Mhm,
This is the best way to tackle water.
okay.
We often think self care comes from adding something,
Mhm,
a new supplement or a workout, but
mhm,
often Kriya is about subtracting, winding down the day early,
mhm.
having an early dinner, going to bed early. These signals your nervous system to move from fight or flight to rest and digest.
Oh, okay.
This is the way to bring Pitta into balance.
Mhm,
When you start waking up in the morning after adequate rest, you'll have all the energy in the world to start your day.
okay.
You can do some workout, get a warm bath. So these will help you to push away from that lethargy or inertia, especially in this season.
Mhm,
So these will help to bring the kapha to balance.
mhm.
So when you start doing all these consistently, gradually we build into the habit and it will all come to us effortlessly.
Okay.
So kriya is what you choose for yourself that brings you back to balance.
Kriya is your reset button. Small actions you do for yourself, done consistently. Now comes the distinction that clears confusion for most people. Kriya is what I do for myself, and karma is what is done to me. So let's go there. Remember this, Kriya is self action. Start there because it is a piece you can control first. So, friends, quick pause before we move forward. If you want to understand this in a personal way, not just as concepts, you can explore ayurveda.tech. It helps you to build in understanding your Prakriti, your natural constitution, and how these pillars can be applied to your daily life. Now, let's move into the karma, the influence we receive from the world around us. I'm excited to talk to Dr. Sagarika to know a little more about this. Here is a practical distinction we use daily. Kriya is what I do to myself, karma is what is done to me, the influences I receive from other people and systems, and my environment. So, Dr. Sagarika, how does karma show up in daily life? And how do we work with it wisely, and especially from an Ayurvedic concept?
Yeah, so Madhavi, karma in this context is the impact of what you receive. As you told, Kriya is
Mhm,
something we can control, but karma is not something that we can always control, but we
mhm,
can choose how to react to it. So it can be your schedule, relationships, workplace pace, and even the kind of support you're getting. So the
uh-huh,
goal is not to blame karma. Blaming is easy, but here we are not getting anything by blaming it. So we are put in a circumstance, we have to live through it, we have to swim in the water after we are being pushed into it. So the goal is to become intentional about it. So when karma is chaotic, your kriya becomes harder. So we protect our reset with boundaries. Right. So now we are in a situation, in a circumstance which puts us under a lot of pressure. We need to know how to deal with it. And it differs according to every individual. Not all five fingers are the same. Each of them have their own cope-up mechanisms, own ways to deal with it. Now let's see how each Prakriti can respond to it and how each Prakriti can individualize the way they react to what they receive.
Sure.
So there are some daily life examples I'd like to quote here. Your calendar deciding your meals and sleep. Isn't that very common? Isn't that what we see every day these days? So there is a packed schedule, and based on that, people try to do everything without listening to their body. So as my dear friend Aishwarya mentioned before, listening to your natural urges should be a conscious effort, and it has to happen consistently. Now, while you are following a calendar, for example, and the schedule is packed, you're working, you have deadlines to finish, you have to do this, that. So there is no pause sometimes, right? And it all becomes overwhelming. You need to know when to take a break. So being pushed into that situation, the karma is the situation over there, and your kriya is again to be intentional about it. So it is to understand the urges, to understand your body and listen to it. There is one more example, I think more stereotypical, but I would like to quote it. Your family routines shaping what you eat and when. So suppose in a family, there are four people. One wants to eat burger, one wants to eat a sandwich in the morning, one wants to eat a dosa. So suppose the one who's cooking has a busy schedule for herself. Now, whom should she cook for? Whom should they cook for? So it is something that needs to be decided upon. They should arrive at a common ground. And each and every individual in the family should prioritize themselves along with the care of each of themselves. So it's a teamwork anyways. So it is not the family routine that shape your meal time or sleep schedule, but it is your body. What is your understanding of your own body should shape that. And work pressure. Sometimes it raises stimulation, reducing recovery. So in all such circumstances, we need to see how to respond to it. So Vata, as we have understood before, so Vata individuals, we stereotype them to be crazy, but they are like, yeah, they are dynamic, energetic, full of spirit. And again, they have creative ideas and they want to work, but again, they're not consistent. So sometimes they do a lot of work, but some other times they're like, let me just rest for a while. So for Vata, last minute plans will not work for them. They have to be very organized about it. So organizing their schedule is important. So that is a take home for Vata. Now coming to Pitta, they're ambitious, overly energetic, and even though they have deadlines to finish, they will have 3 more deadlines to finish after that lined up. So they are highly competitive in nature. So sometimes that competitive drive drains them out. So they need to know when to pause. So clutch, break, pause, and reset. That should be their mantra. So they should know when to pause it and when to go for recreation, as we mentioned before in the previous sessions. So that should be a take home for Pitta. And they have to also listen to their gut. So they can't push their meal schedules. It will lead to irritability. It will lead to acidic issues. And when it comes to Kapha individuals, so they like comfort. They don't want to go out of their comfort bubble. So if they're pushed into situations where they're given a lot of comfort, you have a cushion, you have a nice pillow for relaxing, and you work within that setup, who would want to even work, especially in this weather, right? So for Kapha individuals, it is very important to set small achievable goals so that when they meet them, they will be motivated to do more, right? So that is a take home for Kapha individual. So they are, as you see here, each of them have been forced into a certain circumstance, but they know how to respond to it. So being ready, being prepared, to respond to it in a proper way such that it doesn't harm your body and mind is what karma is. So I'd like to conclude by saying karma is what comes to you, wellness is how you respond to it.
I've never understood it better than today. So karma is the outside world effect. You win. Your win is choosing your inputs and protecting your kriya. Now let's talk about the final pillar. Once actions are aligned, we can talk about, support tools, herbs and supplements, and using them responsibly also. That is Aushadhi. So Kriya is what I do, Karmam is what comes to me, wellness is how I choose to respond. So let's talk to Dr. Disha and know a little bit more about it. Dr. Disha, herbs have become a trend today, a great online trend. But Ayurveda treats Aushadhi as support, not as shortcuts. So could you give us a little more light about how should someone think about Aushadhi responsibly without turning it into a hype?
Okay, so Aushadhi supports the foundation, it does not replace it. The best herbal plan is simple, with the fewer products used consistently and matched to the person and goal.
Mm-hmm.
So in our Ayurveda, Aushadhi is a fundamental component of the Three Sutra, the three pillars of treatment. So just imagine like how crucial it is for restoring the body's balance and promoting health.
Mm-hmm.
And the most important thing is Aushadhi always work best when the routine, the food, the sleep, and all the seven components which we discussed earlier in the session are moving in a right direction.
Mm-hmm.
So in this way, it shows the holistic approach towards wellness. The effectiveness of Aushadhi relies on factors such as patient's body, the time, the dosage, and the proper processing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is great for someone may not be right for you and me. Let's
True.
take an example for this. Like
Sure.
ginger tea is used like several people nowadays, but
Uh-huh.
ginger may be a medicine for one person, but in excess, ginger may cause increase of pitta in another.
Wow.
So, which Aushadhi is best for whom? Let's take an
Mm-hmm.
example for this.
Mm-hmm.
Like Vata people usually get benefit with all kind of nourishing, the grounding, calming and supporting kind of medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Pitta people get benefit with cooling, soothing, non-irritating and supportive medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Kapha people get benefit with warming, activating, light support and paired with some kind of movement kind of things. So this personalized approach is the beauty of Ayurveda.
Beautiful.
Now, Aushadhi is used not only for treatment but also for prevention, strengthening immunity, and maintaining long term health. This
Okay.
is why patience and consistency are essential in Ayurvedic treatment. So, the most important note is if you are pregnant, nursing, managing a medical condition, or
Mm-hmm.
taking prescription medication, consult a qualified professional before starting herbs or supplement. So I would like to conclude with Aushadhi is support, not rescue.
Wow. Aushadhi is support, not rescue. How beautifully summarized. So, herbs are not the steering wheel, they are the power steering, helpful, but only if the direction is already right. Build the foundation first, then use Aushadhi as support, not as a shortcut. That completes the blueprint of today's episode. And if you want to go deeper, visit ayurveda.tech. It is a simple starting point to understand your Prakriti and explore your guidance built around your personal rhythm, not generic wellness advice. Thank you for joining us on Ayurveda Unleashed. This is really helpful. Share it with someone who needs more information, needs more clarity, and a simple way to start and begin their wellness procedure. I want to thank once again Dr. Gopika, Dr. Aishwarya, Dr. Sagarika, and Dr. Disha for joining us in this episode of Ayurveda Unleashed, Rediscovering Ayurvedic Wellness, the Everyday Blueprint. Thank you.